I'm Robin Gagnon.
And I'm Eric Gagnon, and we sell restaurants. We started the nation's largest restaurant brokerage firm. We sell restaurants over a decade ago. You can find us online at WeSellRestaurants.com.
We hit the airways once a week with expert guests taking on the topics that are trending in the restaurant business. Feel free to tweet your own questions on the topic while we are on the air. Our Twitter handle is Sell Restaurants. You can also post on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/We Sell Restaurants. If we don't get to your question, we'll definitely follow up on social media.
Our goal is to satisfy your appetite for acquisition, feed the need for restaurant reality, and serve up a recipe for business success. We bring on board the best and the brightest in the restaurant industry to talk shop and share the inside scoop.
And talking of the best and the brightest, we are joined by 3 expert guests today on the topic of buying a restaurant franchise. Let's meet our guests, beginning with Mike Foy. Mike is the president and owner of Our PP Inc. and YPP Inc. All that means is he's doing business as Stevie B's Pizza. He's going to give us the perspective of a franchisee or someone that owns a restaurant franchise today. Mike has a great resume. He was raised in the restaurant industry. His father owned the diner across the street from a 3-shift Georgia-Pacific plant. In the 70s and 80s, he worked for Pizza Inn in the South, where he became the regional director of over 80 stores. He transitioned from that to owning 2 Pizza Inns in Atlanta, Georgia, and then to Captain D's, where he was a division director. During the late 90s, Mike was responsible for 10 corporate stores and 90 franchise stores for Coffee Beanery and developed the concept for them. Mike made a short detour out of the restaurant industry in 2005, but returned to his first love in 2000, but he returned to his first love in 2005 when he went back into the restaurant industry and opened his first Stevie B's Pizza in 2012. He opened his second location. Mike, welcome today.
Well, thank you.
Good. And our second guest is Karen Spencer. Karen is the president and partner of Yeah Burger, an upscale fast casual restaurant brand committed to using natural and organic ingredients and eco-friendly practices. Previously, Karen served as the founder and CEO of France System, an Atlanta-based franchise education consulting company from 1994 to 2012. Through France System, Karen created Launch 360, a franchise process methodology for franchisors, and consulting with such companies as Bridgestone Tires, Valvoline, Yum Brands, Focus Brand, High Hop, Donato's Pizza, Southern Hospitality, and many others. Karen's franchisor's corporate background encompasses over 30 years of experience with all levels of franchise company, such as Davco, Arby's, both internationally and domestically, AFC Enterprises, Medial USA, which was the original cookie company, and Hot Sam's Pretzel, RTM Restaurant Group, and Planet Smoothie.
Our third guest is Jamie Davis. Jamie is a seasoned franchise executive, having spent nearly 7 years in the QSR franchise sales realm. Formerly with Donato's Pizza, Jamie recently joined the Checkers and Rally system because of the tremendous growth potential he sees in the brand. It doesn't hurt that, like all of us, he loves food too. Welcome aboard, Jamie.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Again, huge thank you to all of you on the panel for joining us today. Basically, we have assembled 3 very different viewpoints on how to buy, why buy, and how to buy a franchise. We have Mike, that's a franchisee, somebody looking to buy a franchise. We have Jamie, which is with a very veteran franchise company in Checkers that is, been around for a long time. And we have Karen that has a very, very deep background in franchising and also is a startup franchisor with their concept. So these are going to be 3 different viewpoints that we're going to talk about today.
We're really looking forward to sharing your perspective with our listeners. So let's start with the good news. I recently read an article published by ADP, the payroll firm, and they showed that in June, restaurants made up 75% of the total franchise job growth in the month. That sounds like pretty good news for the industry. Karen, let's kick this off with you. Why do you think restaurants are outperforming other sectors when it comes to the important metric of adding jobs? And in your mind, how does the restaurant franchise industry compare to other industries?
There are 4 major industries that we categorize for franchising. You have hotel, lodging, the restaurant industry, you have retail, and you have the service brands. Out of those 4 main categories, restaurant industry has always trended in the higher percentage range for franchises. The second largest would be hotel, and then the third retail, and the last service. Not only as restaurant brands continue to grow, they actually have increased year over year for the past 20, 25 years, which is why you are seeing the increase in the labor pool coming out of the restaurant industry. So it really is the biggest category of franchising to the franchise industry and very prominent for the restaurant industry.
Jamie, let's get you to weigh in. Do you have any thoughts you want to add to that perspective?
I think Karen's right. There is something to the fact that restaurant is such a huge part of the franchise industry, and I think we're seeing people wanting more choices. We're seeing people wanting more variety in their day-to-day activity, especially around eating. So, with what's Karen's got a concept coming up that I think is great, and it's adding to the variety. Checkers is another opportunity, and Stevie B's Pizza. I think people just are looking for more opportunities. So I think that's why you're seeing a lot of growth in the restaurant industry right now.
I agree. And with that said, let's dive into a different point of view. Mike, you bought franchise, obviously, but, listeners out there, people out there is like, struggle. Why did you buy a franchise versus not buying an independent restaurant company?
Eric, the reason I did is that a good franchisee provides a great roadmap. It provides direction. It also allows that franchisee to not go through the struggles that a startup company would go through. They've been through those pitfalls and struggles, and buying a franchise allows me not to go through that and use their model and basically implement the passion of a restaurateur.
So it's kind of systems and best practices that separates a franchise from an independent. Jamie, let's have you weigh in. What types of best practices, systems should a buyer look for when they're shopping to buy a restaurant franchise?
Well, for a restaurant franchise, I think it's critically important that you have a really solid menu development team, a solid operations platform that goes along with that, the production of that menu, and then a solid development system and strategy for growth. Where are you going to go? How are you going to select your sites? How are you going to keep the construction process under control? All of those things. Once the restaurant's open again, obviously it's about operating that system and that platform that the restaurant, that the franchisor has developed over the years. It's you really just want to have the product, you want to have the processes in place to create it, and you want to have the right places to go. So those are the three main things.
That's a good, interesting point you brought up, a little bit about locations and everything. And we're seeing, obviously, with economy and what happened in the last few years, we've seen some really good locations close down and give an opportunity to a lot of brands to go into markets that were totally unavailable in the past. So, Karen, with that in mind, you guys are about to go to market. Are you going to be looking for totally new sites? What are your thoughts about new sites versus second generation space that would be able to use second generation space? For those of you out there that doesn't know what it means, it was a restaurant before, so the infrastructure is already in place.
We'll be looking specifically for a lot of remodels. We have a lot of property that have come available over the past couple of years. So we feel that will be better real estate from us, for us, rather than, growing from the ground up. Not that would be out of the question, but we think there's just a number of nice properties that will fit our brand. For a franchisee looking, you've got pros and cons. For an existing unit, you certainly already have a customer base in place. So the cash register is ringing. It may not be ringing like you want it to ring, but there is a customer base there, which brings you also instant cash flow. Again, it may not be as much cash flow as you would like, but you know that it's there. It's a lower capital investment to do a renovation, most typically. So it's an easier entry for a franchisee or somebody looking to get in the restaurant industry. It's also the fastest way to become a multi-unit franchise owner as you embark on buying existing units from folks that are retiring or due to illness or there's no generation behind them to really carry on the restaurant brand that they're working in. For a new location, you will certainly gain the experience as a business owner and learning real estate, what types of real estate, getting a better business background and overall leases, construction, permitting. So you're getting more expertise and background when you're dealing with, a new unit. You will also usually receive better training with a new unit. Franchisors will offer the initial training program and give you extra support for your first one, but they're going to assume as you grow that you've retained some of that. There may be refresher courses, but usually you're getting the best training right there and then. Also, when you're purchasing an existing unit, sometimes it is left to the franchisee currently owning the restaurant to train you. So as you can see, if you're going to do an existing, which is the fastest way for you to get in the restaurant industry, you can just ask for additional training.
So, Mike,
Eric, sorry, I was just going to say, Eric, there's also a tremendous opportunity out there right now, as I think you mentioned earlier about the closed restaurant locations and reopening those locations, because those are really good ROI sort of projects where you can go in and get a piece of property that's vacant completely, not operating, and go in and renovate to your brand and get back up and running. Obviously, you need to be careful about the trade areas that you're going into. A closed restaurant may be closed for a reason, but there may also be real opportunity there.
And I just want to piggyback that with you, Mike, because you did buy existing franchises. So tell us a little bit about that experience and how that differed for you versus doing a startup or building it from the ground up.
Well, my first one was a startup, and it was back in 2005. We struggled with that one. It was a lot of cash flow that went out early on because we had to build from the beginning. Versus my second one, which I took over as an existing restaurant, a lot less involved in money on that end. And at the end of the day, it proved out to be a better buy for me, financially as well as the growth of the store in the market area.
A couple of questions, follow up, Mike, with you as well. When you look at a new site versus a existing location, what type of savings do you factor in when you do your evaluation of a site? Are you talking 20%, 50%? What usually a remodel, like Karen mentioned before, would be? What savings do you usually think about when you do that?
Well, example of the two, that when I bought and when I started, I saved roughly about $400,000 on buying that existing franchise. So you can see there's a big savings in doing that.
So what Mike is referring to is what we in the industry call a franchise resale. And when we get to our restaurant reality segment, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the benefits of a franchise resale. But as Jamie mentioned, you also have to look at when you're going in as the second operator in that given location, what happened before. Many times it's related to the principals, the folks operating the business, more so than the brand itself or the location. Tell us a little bit, Karen, about what you think are the benefits of being a franchise owner versus being that independent owner. We haven't really talked about the independent scenario as an option.
The independent, the Department of Commerce used to quote that there was a much, much higher percentage of success rate should you choose either product, distribution or business format franchising, which is really what we're talking about here today, is business format franchising, because there is a business system that goes along with it, and that's the one that we do recommend. Those numbers were challenged because it was as high as 95%. If you bought a franchise that you were successful, and a number of folks challenged that, and they're now working on new numbers to be published. But the net of what I'm really saying here is that I think we have proven time and time again that franchise owners are in, the business much, much longer than an independent operator, especially in the restaurant industry, where the restaurant industry is an industry that has a lot of moving parts and pieces. So, buying a franchise gives you, the ability, as Mike, pointed out earlier, to have an unbelievable amount of support system to support you. So when you're working those long double shifts and you're working in the restaurant industry and you're tired, you know that you can talk to a franchise owner the next day and vent a little bit, and that eases the pain of being in the industry, but huge rewards. So I think that the support system cannot be diminished by any means. It really, really is a huge benefit. I think the other benefit is continuing education. When you're an independent owner, you're so busy working in the business that to expand your experience and your knowledge is hard. By the time you get home, you're tired. And when you're part of a franchise system, it comes natural that you're constantly moving your education forward. That's why franchising has also been so successful for the next generation to come. Franchising is very family-owned. It is very generational. But you hear about those families in the restaurant business that have a restaurant for 30 years and they're just tired and they have no place to go, so it closes. And in franchising, what you have is a buyer behind you. Some other franchisee or some other buyer entering the franchise industry is going to pick up that restaurant, for you. So those are two additional benefits.
Jamie, do you want to weigh in on that as well? What are your thoughts?
Sure. I think to Karen's point, one of the great things about franchising is there is that system and that process that you can operate. And I think it was Gordon Teeter from Wendy's who called it a batteries not included opportunity. It's like you've got this great toy, and all you need to do is put the batteries in, and it operates. It's not quite that simple, but it is a cogent metaphor, because you've got these. When you're a franchisee, like just ask Mike, he's got a system that he operates. He puts his energy in it, his local presence. He puts his leadership behind it, and he operates the system as the system is designed, and that's where you come out with the success. And to Karen's point, there's a lot less energy that you have to put into it yourself to create the systems, to create the products, to create all that stuff. Takes a lot of energy, and franchising takes that out of the way for you.
And may I jump in and say, to Jamie's point, as a franchisee, you're there because of your passion. You want to be part of it. You want to please the customer and develop your employees and grow them to another level. Being in a franchise that allows you that time to do that and really build great people, and also allow that passion to come out in your restaurant.
Well, that's good discussion there, and I like the batteries not included analogy of Jamie here. That's very interesting. We deal a lot, Robin and I, with franchisees, potential franchisees and buyers. And one topic I'd like to talk a little bit about right now is, maybe start with you, Mike, is what do you expect? What's the reality between what do you expect from the franchisor and what do they really give you? Because, that is a question that everybody's have a different answers for.
For me, it's in the beginning, it was to understand the concept. What have them teach me what made their model work. Provide systems, provide support as far as location development, menu pricing suggestions, as well as buying power. All those things come into play as a restaurateur, because basically at the end of the day, you wanted to make profit. To do that, if you're with a franchisor, they're buying at a better price. They have systems in place that support you. Their technology is usually better than a beginning franchisee. So I'm looking for that franchisor to support me in all those functions.
Like more of a guidance to execute, basically.
Exactly right.
Okay, Karen, you guys are new. What should people expect from you guys as a newcomer to the marketplace as a franchisee?
I think that franchisors should provide a number of services, and you have to be careful. The Federal Trade Commission, steps forth and even says in the legal documents that franchisors complete that, beyond initial training, we need not, provide you additional support. And I don't know of a franchisor in the United States that really believes that. They all aspire to provide additional services. Where you have to distinguish is their team experienced enough in franchising to be able to provide the support services. What we provide is certainly, a marketing advantage. In other words, we're going to take the financial hit for creating the brand concept, the marketing, the logo, the trademark, the trade dress. So you should have a brand that is created, and with that, you need to ensure that any franchisor you're looking at has the rights to the trademark to use the name. We'll be offering an orientation program. Most franchisors, when you sign your franchise agreement, you don't hear from them again until you're ready. You've got a site, you're ready to move, and you're going to move on to actual initial training. We provide education right out of the gate. We actually provide it during the sales process and then an orientation program. We will certainly be offering initial training like every other franchisor. Ours will be 7 weeks. The restaurant industry has changed. Years ago for fast food, you saw training as high as 10 to 12 weeks. As fast casual came along, brands began to push back and only have their franchisees go through 4 weeks training. And I think that's done some restaurant owners a disservice because it's too hard to learn the business and the brand in that short a time. So we'll be doing 7 weeks, and then we'll have ongoing training and support. And just one quick note there, you usually should have a franchise field consultant that will come out and visit you for ongoing support. The ratio used to be in the 1 to 30. In other words, 1 franchise business consultant to 30 franchisees. We've seen it now get as high in the industry as 1 to 100. We will be maintaining the 1 to 30 ratio with Burger.
Excellent. Jamie? Sorry, you're the last guy. You should get the short end of the stick, but we're giving it up against commercial break. 30 seconds. Tell me a little bit about what to expect from Checkers.
Well, I think it's all about operations and marketing. I think Karen hit it on the head. Those are the most important pieces. IT and real estate and development, all those are along for the ride in terms of what we need to provide as a franchisor to make everybody successful. But it's about operations and marketing and innovation all the way along the way in both of those areas.
Excellent. Very good information, guys. Get some difference in what you guys are talking about. And Robin, like to give some little bit of information here before the break.
If you're about to step out of your car and miss the rest of our show, don't forget you can catch us online on our YouTube channel, YouTube.com/We Sell Restaurants. You can also catch us streaming live from our website, WeSellRestaurants.com. And finally, put us on your iPad or iPod and take us along. You can pick up this segment and every show from the iTunes store. This is Eric and Robin Gagnon. We're the Restaurant Brokers, and this segment is We Sell Restaurants.